Hey there, this is Emma Kong. Today we're going to explore our neighbor planet, Venus. It's the closest planet to Earth, yet the most deadly in our solar system. Once called the morning star, Venus hides a surface hot enough to melt metal, with crushing pressure and clouds of acid. But scientific research has revealed something unexpected. A gas called phosphine detected in Venus' atmosphere. And that leads us to a compelling question. Does life exist on Venus? Are the stories of Venusians really just fantasy, or is there more to them? This is Venus, Earth's twin, but in name only. In this episode, we'll take you inside the true faith of this hellish world. Now let's take a closer look at this planet that is remarkably similar to Earth. Our solar system, the very one we depend on for life, has a total of 8 planets. The closest planet to the Sun is Mercury, followed by Venus. Next, the third planet from the Sun is our home, Earth. Continuing outward from the Sun, the rest are, in orders, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. When people observe the night sky, they'll notice that Venus is the brightest planet visible at night. In fact, it's the second brightest natural object in the night sky, outshone only by the moon. Venus always shines with a beautiful white light, which is why many ancient civilizations linked it with beauty and love. In Roman mythology, Venus represents the goddess of love and beauty, Venus herself. In ancient Greek culture, the planet was associated with Aphrodite, the Greek goddess who also symbolized love and beauty. So, what are the similarities and differences between Earth's so-called twin, Venus, and our own planet? Venus is the closest planet to Earth in the solar system. Incredibly, Venus is even closer to Earth than Mars is, despite Mars being more commonly discussed. In terms of basic physical data, the two planets are remarkably similar. Venus' diameter is about 95% that of Earth. Its mass is about 81.5%, and its density is 95% of Earth. They also orbit the Sun at similar distances, which is why some scientists refer to Venus as Earth's twin. However, in other ways, Venus is drastically different from Earth. For one, Venus has an extremely thick atmosphere, about 92 times thicker than Earth. This means the surface pressure on Venus is equivalent to the pressure you'd experience over 3,000 feet underwater on Earth. Imagine a brave human standing on the surface of Venus. He will be instantly crushed into a pancake. While Earth's atmosphere is made up of approximately 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, Venus' atmosphere consists of 96% carbon dioxide. The high concentration of carbon dioxide creates a runaway greenhouse effect, trapping heat and pushing surface temperatures to extreme levels. The temperature on Venus can reach up to 860 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt a block of lead, turning it into molten, searing liquid. To make matters worse, the planet is blanketed by thick clouds of sulfuric acid. and the atmosphere is filled with corrosive gases like sulfuric dioxide. Such an environment, scorching, toxic, and under immense pressure, seems anything but friendly to life as we know it. However, in the 1950s, a shocking Venusian contact event occurred. In 1952, an American man named George Adamski and his friends drove out to California's Mojave Desert for a vacation. While traveling on a stretch of desert road, they spotted a large silver UFO zipping overhead. The UFO was flying at an altitude of around 2,600 feet. They slowly descended and landed not far in front of their car. Adamski quickly snapped a few photos and decided to drive towards the UFO alone, while his friends stayed behind. One friend, Alice Wells, observed what happened next through a telescope. Adamski drove up to where the UFO had landed and encountered a fair-skinned, European-looking man waiting for him. The man had golden hair, appeared about 30 years old, stood around 5 feet 3 inches tall, and was strikingly handsome. He wore dark clothing with a belt and boots. Smiling, he spoke to Adamski in an unfamiliar language. When Adamski realized he couldn't understand, the man began to communicate using hand gestures and telepathy. The man identified himself only as O, claiming to be from Venus. Adamski later called him Orthon. He said he had come to investigate recent major events on Earth, among them the US government's atomic bomb tests. Orthon led Adamski to a floating, translucent metallic saucer hovering nearby. When Adamski asked how the saucer flew, Orthon explained that it used magnetic attraction and repulsion to propel itself. These small saucers were carried by larger mother ships, traveling between planets. Orthon also told Adamski that Venusians must obey cosmic laws. All life eventually dies, and the soul must seek another body to inhabit. They talked for about an hour. When Adamski asked to take more photos, Orthon refused. Orthon then demanded that Adamski hand over the photos that he had already taken. Afterwards, Orthon boarded the saucer and vanished into the sky, leaving 2 strange footprints in the dust. After Orthon departed, Adamski's friends came running over. 2 of them made plaster casts of the footprints, and Alice Wells sketched the Venusian using her telescope's view. Adamski later recounted his experience in a book titled "Flying Saucers Have Landed." It became an instant bestseller and was translated into 18 languages. He later claimed to have had several more contacts with Venusians, even being invited aboard an UFO to travel through space. He documented these encounters in a follow-up book published in 1955 titled "Inside the Spaceship." We may not yet be able to confirm the truth of the story above, but scientists have long been exploring the possibility that life may have once existed on Venus. Scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York have used computer models to simulate Venus' ancient climate. Their results suggest that, in its early history, Venus may have had a shallow liquid water ocean and surface temperatures suitable for life for as long as 2 billion years. During this time, surface temperatures could have ranged from 68 degrees Fahrenheit to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and a large amount of liquid water may have existed. NASA's Pioneer mission to Venus in the 1980s first provided measurements that hinted Venus may once have had oceans. However, because Venus is closer to the Sun than Earth, it receives much more solar energy. This excess sunlight would have caused Venus' early oceans to evaporate, and the resulting water vapor was likely broken down by ultraviolet radiation. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide began to build up in the atmosphere, triggering a runaway greenhouse effect. Over time, this led to the formation of the extremely hostile environment we see on Venus today. Scientific research has discovered the presence of a significant substance in Venus' atmosphere, one that could suggest the possible existence of life. In 2020, scientists detected a large quantity of a rare gas called phosphine in the atmosphere about 30 miles above Venus' surface. Phosphine is a molecule made of one phosphorus atom and 3 hydrogen atoms. On Earth, phosphine is typically associated with life. It can be produced by certain microorganisms that live in anaerobic environments, such as swamps, or even in the guts of animals like penguins. Some have pointed out that humans can manufacture phosphine industrially. However, there are clearly no factories or penguins on Venus. Some scientists suggest that life on Venus might exist underground. Although Venus' surface is extremely hot, both temperature and pressure decrease with depth beneath the surface, potentially creating a more hospitable environment for life. According to geological studies, water vapor and even liquid water may exist below the surface of Venus, offering the essential conditions for life to develop or survive. Another, perhaps more likely, possibility is that microbial life could exist floating in Venus' atmosphere. Scientists have already detected small amounts of methane in the atmosphere. And on Earth, methane is usually considered a byproduct of microbial metabolism. These microbes, having adapted through evolution, might be capable of surviving and reproducing in the extremely harsh conditions found in Venus' upper cloud layers. However, presence of phosphine or methane on Venus is still unconfirmed, neither fully confirmed nor conclusively ruled out. So will the scientific community conduct more missions to explore Venus in the future? Yes, scientists are planning to launch more space probes to Venus in the coming years. Equipped with a variety of advanced scientific instruments, the goal of these missions is to gather more data and evidence for deeper research, ultimately aiming to answer the question, could life exist on Venus? NASA is set to launch 2 spacecraft to Venus within the next decade. Veritas, an orbiter designed to map the planet's surface in detail, and Da Vinci Plus, a probe that will plunge into Venus' atmosphere to study its composition and conditions. Meanwhile, ESA, the European Space Agency, is developing its own Venus mission, Envision, an orbiter designed to study the planet's geology and atmosphere. To help resolve the controversy over the presence of phosphine or methane, future missions like NASA's Da Vinci Plus and Veritas and the ESA's Envision aim to directly sample Venus' atmosphere for phosphine and other biomarker gases. Together, these three missions will mark the beginning of a new era of in-depth exploration and scientific research on Venus. And who knows, maybe in the near future, we'll uncover new clues that we're not alone in the universe.